to record it. Right, I'm going to share our screen. Morning, everybody. Welcome to a slightly chilly Johannesburg. And let's have a look. You can all see that. Today we're discussing becoming an area specialist. Now, okay, so we're going to talk very broadly about this because it's not as easy as, well, there are many ways to reach this goal. Let's put it that way rather. It's not that it's difficult, but if you follow the proven method, let's call it the Rob Pound method, it means you have to go and live in a suburb for 30 years and be an agent for 20 years in a suburb, be on the Ratepayers Association board, walk around there and basically boss everybody around for 20 years. And that's when you become an area expert. And that is a tried and tested way, and it's a surefire way of becoming the expert in the area. There are other ways, though, and what we need to find is a way that we don't have to spend 20 years developing, because we don't have 20 years in a modern estate agent's life. So let's have a look. You can all see that. Number one, let's see, what is this thing that we talk about? What is an area expert or an area specialist? Well, I've consulted our good friend Kali van der Daar, and he says that an agent can be considered an area expert if they know the following. Now, these are sage words coming from a very wise man, so we should pay attention to this. The first thing he says is that you, by definition, an area expert, an agent is an area expert or an area a suburb expert when they are an agent. Never mind about the area. Are you a professional agent? So if you're purporting to be an area expert, you better be an agent expert first. So get qualified, come to training, develop your skills, dress the part. I see Thea's got his tie on today. He's becoming an area expert in Blegari. And if you walk around in your jean pants and sloffies, you are going to be less inclined to be considered an expert, because people see people with white, it's called the white coat syndrome. You put a white coat on and people think that you're important. If you put a stethoscope around your neck, you're not number one. Okay. The other thing is you need to know the different types of properties in the suburb, obviously. So you need to know what makes up a suburb. Now, there are residential areas that have got houses. Very simple. Other have got sectional title and houses. Sometimes there's mixed use, where, like across the road from us here, we've got a residential block when downstairs is all retail. Parkhurst is all residential, very few sectional titles. And the 4th Avenue retail component used to have furniture shops. That used to be the predominant furniture sort of outlets in Johannesburg about 30 years ago. And that's where everybody went to buy sort of antiques. And that's developed into coffee shops, and now it's restaurants. Okay. You need to know what the average time to sell is, what the seller's preference is for marketing. When I say the seller's preference for marketing, I talk about some areas the sellers will accept a sole mandate. It's almost a given. No, sole mandates is what we do here. Other areas, they just don't do sole mandates. And a typical area, like if you go to the south of Johannesburg, that area is quite well covered by the RNS system or multi-listing service system. So they typically don't give a sole mandate. They give a LMS mandate or a RNS mandate based on that functioning thing. And if you went there and asked for a sole mandate for your business and you weren't part of that system, the buyers and sellers there wouldn't quite understand what you're talking about. So nearly everything there's like on an open sole mandate. You know what I mean? Yes, it's a sole mandate, but it's an RNS mandate or a listing service mandate, so everybody can sell it. Okay. What schools, medical facilities, amenities, what new developments there are, lifestyle in the area, and what are the rules, the homeowners association. So if you're selling in Steyn City, you better know the rules of Steyn City. If you're selling in Zimbali, in the Belita area, now, well, let's say Zimbiti's got about, I don't know, probably 20 different villages within the village. It's got the golf course component, it's got the business park, it's got the recreational halls, the recreation center, the equestrian center, it's got the dams. They've got about 15 dams. Each dam's got a name, each dam's got different fish in them. You're allowed to fish in some dams, you're not allowed to fish in the other dams. You're not allowed to swim in any of the dams, but you can get golf balls out the dams if you don't tell the guards what you're doing. And there's all these rules that you have to understand. And to write the exam into Zimbabwe, I think it costs 30,000 Rand now to write the exam. They write it once a year. And it's a file like this big. It's a massive file. It's a very difficult exam because they're asking you very detailed stuff about the suburb. And I think that's exactly right. And this is how you must approach it. If you're going to be the area expert in your area, you need to approach it as if you are going to get tested by a panel of your worst teachers at school. Mrs. Bathing-Smith and Dr. Fasagi are going to sit you down and say, right, tell me about Blair Gowrie's Recreation Center. How many people work there? What has it got? Has it got racquetball? Has it got paddle? Has it got squash? Is there a surf skate park there? And you need to be able to answer these questions. Right. So what we're talking about is you need to gather the history of the suburb. So we're just going to go through this quite quickly. It's not hard. And this is very not difficult stuff. You would have worked this out if you just thought about it. Okay. So how do we look at the area? Why do you want to become a specialist? And I think if you want to entrench yourself in an area or start becoming more used, more spoken about and spoken to by sellers and buyers, you have to purport to know what you're talking about. Because why would an agent choose you? You know, there's no, like we all look the same. We all work for property companies. So it comes back to the agent. It's always about you. And this is what I keep saying to you. It's not so important the company you work for. They're all competent. They're all fine. There are very little differences that make any difference to the agents, to the seller. And I think you've all been down this road with the seller says to you, but why must I pick you, Anton? What do you do differently to this other company, the red one or the green one or the blue one? And I say to them, I don't do anything differently. We all do the same. We're all agents. We're all governed by the same PPRA. So we've got a paradigm in which we operate. The difference is me. I'm the guy. It's my smiling face that's going to make the difference. It's my effort that's going to make the difference. The person I work for just gives you comfort that I'm not a rogue. So Cully from a Dars Fishing Emporium and property brokerage on the Vaal is an esteemed establishment, and it gives people comfort if they know you from Cully's. Okay. So what do we need to know? Well, we need to know things to be an expert. Like when you're trying to sell a property to somebody, it's important to find the history of the house. What did the original buyer buy it for? Ask the guy, hey, you've been here for 30 years. What did you pay for it? And you will know because you've got the lights done. So you'll say, I bet you paid 200,000 Rand for it. You say, yes, you're clever, eh? That's right. I paid 185,000 Rand 20 years ago. And now look at it. It's worth 2.2 million. Okay. And who are the owners? Who did you buy it from? Because it's quite important. So who are the previous owners? What was the house previously? Is there something about this property that's special? And I've stayed in a house that was part of Farm 1 in Port Elizabeth. It was the original, not stayed in it. I mean, we sold it. It was the original farm house in Port Elizabeth. It was the most beautiful place. It's obviously it's 100 and something years old, and it was an old farmhouse. And across the road, that's now the main road, is the second part of the dwelling, which were the stables. Now that's beautiful knowledge to give to a buyer. Okay, you're buying this place. You know why it's so special? This is the first farmhouse in the area. It was the original dwelling of the mayor. And all of these things add to the romance in that. Because why? Remember when you're selling properties to buyers buy with emotion. They want to be emotionally involved in it. The sellers are the guys who just want the number. They don't care whether it was the first farmhouse. They want to see the money. Right. So if a house has stories to it, you can sell the dream to the people that are buying it. Okay, so you need to find these stories out. And it's a little bit different from the other agents Also, if you're asking the seller about the details of the property, he's almost showing like real interest in it. What about this house do you love the most? What do you know about this house? Is there something about this area? And the guys will tell you, they'll know stuff about the area. This road, this was originally the main road to Vereeniging. And now it's become the suburb. And it's amazing that when you start talking about the suburbs and the areas, and remember that the Johannesburg is flipping full of history. Why? Because we are this is where the main from the gold rush, the creation of the city of gold, all the mining, all the stuff that happened in South Africa, kind of, there's history everywhere. But Johannesburg has got a very rich history. Okay. Right. What repairs and renovations have been carried out? And the guys will tell you, when I bought this place, it was a 1-bedroom flat, and now it's a 5-bedroom house. Just like, how did you do that? And he'll explain it to you, and that's something of interest you could tell the buyers. Okay. A good thing to do is what plans are approved, because many sellers have got plans and they've never submitted them to council. Remember that if you do plans on a house and you submit them, they rate you on those plans that are approved. So if you've got a 3-bedroom house and you've got plans to go double-story, and you submit them to council for approval, you suddenly are going to be paying rates on double the amount of space, so your rates go up. So many people actually do plans and they say, okay, we won't do this now, but we're not going to submit them either. You must ask them about those plans, so you can show the new buyers that the place has been thought about. It's a loved thing, okay, a loved property. And another part of it is not only plans for the house, but plans for the area. What's happening in the area, that's important. And you'll find stuff, and especially in Joburg now, that the Gautrain's coming to Blairgowrie. The Gautrain's coming to the top of Randburg. And you need to know that, because it's important for people to know what's happening in the area. And the Gautrain does make a difference to your area. It's quite convenient if you live or use it. Okay? Okay. So those are just the things I wanted to get into your head, so you start thinking about this. We're going to go through this fast, because I know you guys are so clever. There's a question. How do I find the question? What is the question? Can you tell somebody can you tell them somebody died in the house, or it's a haunted house? No. You definitely can't do that, Sweetie. No, the obligation to disclose that kind of thing stops at crime. So I would say if there's been a really violent crime in a property, that you I think there's case law to say that you would have to disclose it if you know about it. Whether people or not have died in the house, I never disclose that, and I don't even talk about that. I don't know. Because the reality is that South Africa is a country that's been around for 400 years, and there are a lot of people that have died in a lot of houses. So if you start talking as an estate agent about this one's got a person that died, you'll find out you'll run out of houses, because people do die, and it's quite normal. So I would just talk about if there's been a violent or a criminal something, then you could disclose that because it talks to the safety of the area and the safety of the property, which is a material thing. Whether somebody died in the house or not, whether you believe that or ghosts or that, is irrelevant to the reality. From the point of view of many people, that is not important, and other people found it immensely important. So you can't tell, it's not up to us to disclose that. So I wouldn't ever disclose that. It's not a material fact. We sell property, we don't sell that kind of stuff. No. So I definitely wouldn't bring on. So when you're becoming a property expert, now we've spoken briefly, just very touchingly, on the kind of things you need to know, and it goes beyond that though. So now we know about the physical things. We know about the main roads, we know about the houses, we know about this house. We know that it used to be a thatch house, and now it's not a thatch house, and it used to be the mayor's house, and now it's not the mayor's house. We know all of those things. And I think it comes down to, now, if you're going to be respected, so you now are becoming a person that knows a lot about the area. That's good. So now you know a lot about the area and you can talk. Now, the agents that I speak to, some of them are insecure as an agent. And I know one in particular feels insecure to do sales because they don't think they're good enough yet to be a sales agent. Now, we will take no guesses on who that is. But that person, if they just learnt about the area, would be able to talk a great deal about the area and having worked and lived in the area, and all of those other fears become kind of irrelevant. Because why? You're not actually selling the detail of the offer to purchase. You're not actually selling the detail of the house. What you're selling is the dream. So you're selling to the wife, listen, look at the kitchen here. While you're baking, your children can be playing outside and they can walk to school, because the school is 100 meters down the road. Turn left, that's the primary school. Turn right, that's the high school. Go straight down the road, that's the university. Okay, that's what you're selling people, the lifestyle of the place. You're not necessarily selling them, how does the contract work? And that actually becomes irrelevant. So your confidence can be got two ways. Either you can become a expert in the process of being an agent, and that's going to leave you wanting when it comes to selling the dream. It's much better to become an expert in the house and the area where you can sell the dream to the person who's buying it. Okay, it's much easier to talk about, 100 years ago, this used to be the mayor's house. That's a lovely thing to know. And it's inside information. People love inside information. And they can go home, yes, I've seen this house. Do you know what used to be the mayor's house? You know what I mean? It's a lekker thing. I would like to buy a house that was mayor's house. Don't know why not. Right. The other thing you need to do, other than in the housing and the physical stuff, is that you need to form genuine connections within the community. If you're going to be an area specialist, you better know somebody in the area. Okay, because the person's going to ask you, so you know Mark? You go, no, I don't know Mark. How can you not know Mark? Mark lived here for 47 years. He used to be the mayor. Everybody knows Mark. Well, I don't know Mark. Okay, so then you've got a problem. Then you've got a deficit in your specialization if you don't know this guy. So I think the rule here is that this is I quite like this. How many people do you know locally? And the answer to that question is, I can tell you it's not enough. You need to know everybody. Okay. So you need to start by creating a circle of influence. So you need to start. And the best thing about this part of real estate is that you're not sitting behind a book now. Now you're sitting in a coffee shop. So if you're going to become the expert in Blairgowrie, you're going to go across the road here to Madeli, and you're going to sit here and have coffee, and you're going to talk to the owner. How's it going here? What's happening? Where's your daughter? Has she had a baby yet? Oh, good. Okay, you know that now. And then you're going to go the next day to Fresh Earth, and you're going to sit and have coffee there. And you're going to speak to the owner there. And after about a month of having coffee, and it's only once or twice a week you have to have coffee, you'll know a lot about the area. Because who knows about the area? Who's the right person to talk to about knowing an area? In one day, you'll know everything. Who knows? Who's the oracle of every area? Come on. A cup of coffee.
Businesses, coffee shops.
The lady's hairdresser. If you can go to the hairdresser, my word, you know everything. So go to the hairdresser. Patricia has been to the hairdresser, I can see. Yeah. Okay. So your circle of influence is important and you need to grow it. Right. The other thing you need to do is stay ahead of local developments. So agents who know the most sell the most. And this really is true. If you speak to good agents, they really do know what's going on in the area. They understand what the area was, they know what it is today, and they know where it's going. They know what's happening to the schools, they know what's opening, what's closing, what the points of interest are. And it helps the buyers identify whether or not they even want to live there. Remember, if you get a guy that phones you, hey, I'm from Cape Town, I need to get a house in Blairgowrie, that's about the closest area here to where I work. You got one, can I see it? It's the wrong thing to do to take the guy straight to the house and say, here's 3 bedrooms and there's a lovely kitchen and look at the garden. Because he's actually not buying that. People aren't trying to buy that. What you need to do is first sit with the guy and say, where are you working? And he's going to say, well, I'm working for, I don't know, what's he working for? That place down the road, yeah. So, well, that place down the road is actually quite close. It's about 5 kilometers. So, yeah, this is the right area. And where do your children go to school? No, they're going to go to Randburg High. Oh, okay. Randburg High is probably 14 kilometers away. It's not a feeder school from Blairgowrie, or it is a feeder school. You need to know that kind of thing so you can help this guy set up his life properly. And he's going to have a lot of faith in you compared to the other agent that shows him 3 bedrooms, 1 garage, and it's got an electric fence. Do you want to buy it? Like, dude, that's not what he's buying. He's not buying a house. He's buying a lifestyle. He's buying a place to grow his family up. He needs to know it works. So this is your job. Okay. And you need to be able to tell him. But don't worry if your kids can't walk to high school yet, because in next year they're building a Gautrain connection. You know, they can take the Gautrain right down to Wits. Okay, it's a good thing to know. Right. The other one is you need to be visible. You really cannot be an area expert unless you're in the area. And I think the out of sight and out of mind is really the most. This is where it does apply to you as an agent. If you're not always in the community, they'll forget about you in 1 second, because the other agents are always in the community. They've got boards up on the street. They've got their boards up on show days. Show days is the single easiest way for you to be part of the community. Get involved on the weekend, on a Saturday or a Sunday, and do a show day. So the more time you spend in the community, having coffee, talking to the owners, talking to the businesses, talking to the people that move around you, the more chance you've got of being identified as an area agent, as an expert in the area. Why? Because he's always there. You're looking for an estate agent, go down to Espresso on a Monday morning, you'll find Theo there. He sits there drinking coffee every Monday. It's wonderful. People talk to him every Monday. So you really got to know. And you kind of have to be seen as not taking from the community. You need to be seen as giving back to the community. So like giving water out at the park run for nothing, just giving water out. It would be a magnificent way of showing people that you're a part of community. So you wear your company logo, you wear your name badge, and you hand out water. You're not trying to sell anything. You're not trying to do anything. All you're doing is talking to people, talking about their dogs and their kids, and they get a familiar face, and they identify you, property and kindness, and you, property and community, and that's what you're trying to do here. There's no hard sell in this. You cannot be a respected member of the community by becoming a hard sell agent. This is where you're not trying to sell anything. You're just trying to be there and be cool. You just want people to like you. Okay. Right. So you've got to keep yourself in the spotlight. You've got to sponsor events. You've got to do the Rand Park Ratepayers Association annual picnic day. And if you go there and you see Rob sweating over the boerewors fire, and Robin sits in the shade drinking pina coladas while he slaves away, and they are there every year, and every year they sell boerewors rolls, and it costs them an arm and a leg, and they certainly don't make any money out of it, and then they donate all their proceeds to the community anyway, because the people expect to see him there, and they expect to see Robin there, because they are identified as area experts. And area experts participate in the community, and they are contributors, and they give back. So if you're not giving back in some measurable way, and sometimes it's just cleaning up the place, just a couple of, let's just clean up the Sprite, a couple of black bags, 1 or 2 photographs, put it on Facebook. Very just not low-key, and by mistake, I had my Property Cousins t-shirt on. Okay. So you need to know the area, you need to be seen in the area, and you need to find a way to communicate to people that you do know the area and that you are trying to give back to the area. You're not just there to take. You're not there. Everything you say is, are you selling? Can I sell your house? That's all trying to take. You should be just giving back quietly in the background. Remember, this is another part, this is another dynamic in the sales history. This is not hard selling. This is where you're selling yourself. So you need to be visible, not invisible. Social media, this is important. Social media, you need to communicate on social media, not your properties. This is the same place that you don't do hard selling. Yeah, you're just trying to communicate your love for dogs, and you're identifying yourself with doggos and the people in the community that like doggos, and you go to Verity Park every Saturday and you walk your doggo there, and people start identifying you as in the community as a nice guy who works in property, and they'll talk to you because of that. So you communicate your love of in the area, and when the jacarandas bloom, you take photographs, you post the jacarandas. Look at Blairgowrie when the jacarandas bloom. And Blairgowrie, if you drive through it, now it's got no leaves on the trees because they're all oak trees. But that road down past the school, as soon as those trees start getting their leaves back, it's the most beautiful green like tunnel of these old oak trees. That's a lovely photograph and a lovely thing to put onto your Facebook page just to say, hey, Blairgowrie is so beautiful, because you're trying to sell a dream. You're not selling a property. Right. How do we do this? I'm going to send you a form, and you're going to fill a form in. So what I want you to do now is to become an area expert. And you get an area expert when you've convinced Theo that you're an area expert. You can't just be one. You can't just say, I'm an area expert. You need to work on it. So I'm going to send you a piece of paper here, and you can see what you have to fill in. You need to know what is the average stand size. And why do you need to know that? Well, if you work in Parkhurst, it's who knows what it is. 495 square meters, every one of them, except 5. And those are bigger for some reason. And that's important to know, because everybody knows it and they all try and catch you out on it. And if you ask them how big is the property, they're going to look at you like you're like a moron. What do you know? How big is the property? They're all the same. So you need to know that. How many properties are in the area? How many are full title? How many are sectional title? How many homeowners association? How many open plots are there? And you'll be surprised how many open plots there are, because there are open plots in many areas that are not are gems. And if somebody says, listen, I'm looking for an open plot in Parkhurst, they say, but Parkhurst is an established area. There are no open plots in Parkhurst. Are you sure? Because there are. There are open plots here. You just have to find them. Okay, what is the zoning? When I say the zoning, most of them are Res 1. Some of them are Res 3. Some of them are high density. There are commercial hubs. There is stuff, and you need to know how that things. Period of ownership. How long have people owned? Now, how do you find this stuff out? Now, you must be thinking, Anton, how do I find this out? How do I know the age of the owners? Well, you can drive down the street just looking at people, I guess. But that's not a good indication, because the way, if you look at Linden, you would think that Linden, or not Linden, let's say Parkhurst. You'd say Parkhurst is an old established area. It's probably quite an older crowd that's there. I think you'd be right. But if you actually looked at it, I think it's a split between young yuppies and older people, but with fewer children. I would guess that. I don't know for sure. But you'd have to speak to the area specialist. He's going to say, yes, most people that live there are professionals. Most of them have children who've already left their house. Why? Because the houses are smaller. And so they're going there for lifestyle. So if they're going there for lifestyle, they're actually going there for 4th Avenue, for the restaurants, for the convenience, for the dog walking, and for the park, for the lovely area. That's what you need to know, because that's who you're selling to. Is there a ratepayers association? Is it an I Love Blairgowrie Facebook page? Are you a member of this group? Okay. Suburb ranking, lending institution, places of worship, Gautrain, nursery schools, primary schools, shopping centers, medical centers. You need to know all of these, and you need to write them down on one piece of paper and learn it, and so that you know it. Sales statistics. How many have sold? What's this average selling price? What's the median price? What's the median? What is the median? It's the middle. Okay, what's the middle price? You just need to know that. It's not the average, it's the middle. Okay, how much vacant land is sold at what price? How many properties are there for sale? How many are new to the market? So what are you saying is, where do we get all this information? How many estate agents are in there? Which ones are the predominant agents? And you need to know that, because you need to know who to go to for stock. Yes? Because if you've got a person who says, listen, I've seen your house, I don't like it. Have you got anything else? But give me a minute. You just go to the first Kings. Andrew, listen, I've got a guy who's coming up from Cape Town. He wants to buy in the area. I know you've got 3 or 4 houses. Please, can I bring him? Sure. If you don't know that Kings is the predominant agent in Parkhurst, you've got big problems. Right. So where do we get all this information from? Does anybody know? For 5 cups of coffee, does anybody know where you get this from? Going once. Lightstone. Jeez, Gary. Have you not had enough coffee in your life, Gary? Yes, from Lightstone. Now, Lightstone has got a thing called a suburb report. And the suburb report tells you everything you need to know about the suburb. And this suburb report I pulled on Blairgowrie. And the first thing I get when I look at it is I get the map of Blairgowrie. And I see, ooh, what's close to Blairgowrie? Victory Park is close. Craighall Park is close. Hurlingham. And President Ridge, Robin Acres, Robindale. That's what surrounds Blairgowrie. Now, that's important to know. I look here at the bottom, market stock. How many freeholds How many sectional titles? How many freehold properties? 2,700. 2,700 properties in Bulgaria. That's a big area. I can make money out of an area with more than 2,000 properties in it. So that's good. Now you know this. And how many sectional title? Only 20 units. Very small. So one complex property. Okay. Suburb demographics. Average household income, 77,000 to 90,000. That's a two-income family, earning about 40,000, 45,000. So this is a middle income. LSM, 10. Low. It's a working class area. It says so. Number of adults, 9,000 adults in Bulgaria. This is information that you need to know if you're going to become the main cat in this area. Period of ownership. Remember, I spoke about that. 49% of people here have been here for 11 years and more. So people come to, and the average house transacts about 7 years in South Africa. Every 7 years, people on average change their homes. So in Bulgaria, it's slightly longer than that. 11 years and more people have been here. So people come here, and if you look at Bulgaria, it's got great schools. It's in a nice area. So what people probably do is they come here for primary school or pre-primary, and they stay here through high school. That's the 11 years. Okay. If you're in Parkhurst, there aren't any schools there. You know what I mean? So people don't go there for their children. Well, there are schools there, but it's not quite the same. Age of owners, stable owners, 22% are pensioners, 40% of them are middle-aged. Recent sellers. Look who the recent sellers are in Bulgaria on the right-hand side here. 44% of them are middle-aged. So between 36 and 49. The recent sellers, almost half of the recent sellers are 49 years old. What does that tell me? I don't know what I can infer from that, but I can probably infer that once the children leave the school, people sell their properties in Bulgaria. And because of all the money they save when they get rid of their rotten kids, they move over to Parkhurst and Craighall Park, where they can live the lifestyle and go to the cafes now and drink coffee with Theo every Thursday morning. Okay. Now, these inferences that I make about the older people selling in it, you will know, because you'll start talking to people who have sold, and they are selling for those probably reasons. So there is a migration from the youngsters that moving to Parkhurst perhaps found the houses too small when they've had kids. Then they want to move to Craighall Park, where the plots are bigger, and maybe Bulgaria, where the plots are bigger, in Victory Park, the areas surrounding this area. Because people don't have, when they have kids, suddenly decide to go to Bronkhorstspruit. Why? Not because they cross with Cully, who runs that area, but because they don't want to uproot their whole lives. All they're trying to do is find a little bit more space, and the kids can still go to school. This one here, property transfer information, is gold. This here tells you that developed properties at the top, freehold estates, freehold schemes, freehold proper, sectional title schemes, the total value of sales, the average cost of sales, and the number of sales. So we can see that we've had one sale in an estate in this period, in the last 3 months, and we've had 36 freehold properties. So you'll know that if I'm an estate agent now and I'm the area expert in Bulgaria, and somebody says to me, well, do houses sell here? What do you mean do they sell here? We sold 36 in the last 3 months. That's 10 a month. Oh, okay, that sounds impressive. How do you know that? Because I just simply read it off this data sheet. Growth and activity, there's the median price I speak about. We know that the median price is 2 million Rand, or 1.6 for townhouses if there are. And I like the number of registrations. The number of registrations is 51 in 2023. In 2022, it was 123. 123, so about 10 a month. 10 a month are transferring in this area. Okay, yeah. And what's also a very interesting one is sales in execution here. You can see that in 23, 4 properties were auctioned. Just interesting to know. And on the last page, this is where you get your suburb rankings from. And I know that Craighall Park is ranked 206 in the country, where Bulgaria is ranked 1,000. So people that move from Craighall Park to Bulgaria are going down in life. People that move from Bulgaria go up to Craighall Park. And I've turned purple again. Why? Anyway. Okay, well, we've got no more time left. And this is the last one is lending by institution. You can see which banks are lending in the area, which banks are lending a lot, which banks are lending a little. And that's important to tell your bond originator, leave out ABSA. They've so fully booked here. Try go for these other banks. Okay. So that's how you become an area expert. It's so easy. I'll send you the paperwork. Go and study it, download it, fill it in, and become the guy in the area by drinking coffee and being cool. Have a nice day.